So, Yali Madar, I just want to share a good thing that our friends who are in Pakistan, they have sent a text that they are starting chain of Satara Venti. Whoever wants to join, first day you have to read 8 part, right? And then after that 7 parts daily. So the group there, they are doing Satara Venti as zikr and ibadat extra for this, prayers time.
And here we are also doing it. I think she already said it earlier that instead of just sitting at home, we are gathering here every evening to do our dua and tasbiyat and zikr, and then we leave by 8 o'clock. So it'll be like 6 to 8, and then we leave. Today's being Sunday and tomorrow work day, we will just go from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So
we'll be meeting every day, 6 to 8, to do zikr here.
It'll be good if one of you guys who are good with Satara Venti, and if you want to prepare that and come at 6 o'clock and recite those 6, 7, 8 parts, I think Akbar is also good.
Yeah, so you can sing and we'll listen. It'll be wonderful, right?
If you can do that.
So, what about the Thursday class? Are you going to choose a timing for that? No, that's 8 o'clock, right? Okay. That's 8 o'clock. That's different. So this is only for zikr. Right? Different intention. 6 to 8 is only tasbihat and zikr. 8 onwards we have our own class. That's knowledge classes. So the words I was looking for you, it's Rab karan jo tu kasni kare, to neki kuwat sahi hove tera dil. तो ईमान तेरा होवे चंगा और ना होवे कुछ ईमान में खलल. ईमान जो सूधा तो कसणी कर, कारण रसूल और आले रसूल. एनु कारण जो कसणी करे तो शिफात करेंगे जहरा बतूल. कि for your Rabb, for your Lord, if you do physical riyazat, right? It's all physical riyazat. Then so whatever good deeds you do, it will be strengthened, right? And your iman will become strong, and no sickness, no khalal, no viruses will enter into your iman. You'll have very strong faith. And another thing which I'd like to add here, I hope we all know that we can increase our faith. Okay? Faith is in ranks too. You always pray for increase in our faith. Okay? Iman jo sudha tu kasni kare, in order to increase your iman, if you do the physical riyazat, for the reason of prophet and, progeny of prophet, for that reason, if you do the kasni, then to shifat kare zohra batul. Shifat meaning again healing, treatment, blessings. Shifat has all meaning encompassed in it. That Nurani family, Ahle Bayt, Zohra Batul, Ale Rasul, will treat your soul, will give you shifa if you do the physical riyazat. That is why it is important to come out of your home and do things in congregation. If it's a zikr-e-jali, meaning loud zikr, or zikr-e-khafi in your heart, let it be meditation or sitting together doing quiet zikr along with group. It matters to do physical riyazat because the blessings are much, much higher and multiplied.
Subhanallah, subhanallah. Thank you for finding it. Yeah. So, which question did you want to tackle first?
So, I think Majbeen's question is related to our today's session, and then we can come back to the last one.
What question है?
The question in Majbeen ka ye hai कि there are kids who are asking, they have heard stories of Sultan Muhammad Shah treating people who were sick, and Maula being the Mazrul Ajaib. He can treat anything and everything. Why didn't he treat this virus, and why we ended up closing Jamaat Khan?
Acha. I understand the question. So remember कि इमाम का सबसे बड़ा मिरेकल फिजिकल मिरेकल नहीं होता है. इवन तो वो भी मिरेकल होता है, लेकिन सबसे बड़ा मिरेकल इमाम का is a spiritual and intellectual miracle. So physically, which is a temporary life. So let's say, and we take the example of Jesus. So he cured a lady with a leprosy. Did she not die afterward? She died. So the miracle he performed was a temporary miracle. But a person whose soul and intellect is cured, which is permanent, which miracle would we rather have, a physical miracle or a spiritual miracle? That's one. Second, because we are talking to children now, right? This question is from the REC children in 5th, 6th, 7th grade. The test. So I would ask the children, so would you like Imam to do a miracle so every year, at the end of the year, you do not have to take a test to go to the next grade?
School.
Wouldn't it be nice? Or for her, wouldn't it be nice if Imam does some miracle, you don't have to take medical test, you become a doctor. How easy that would be, right? How nice that would be. You don't have to study anything. You don't have to go to 6 years of hardship of getting a doctor's degree. We just look to Malapa, let him do a miracle for us, and we pass the test and we get lessons. No, test is part of our life and it's very important part of our life. When we take the test, we ourselves is saying that what I'm about to get, I've worked for it, and yes, there is a involvement of blessing of the Imam, but this is something I wanted to do and I worked for it, and at the end, I got something. So this test, when trials and turbulence comes in a community, I'm not talking about one person now, we're talking about community or the town or the city or the state. It could be a war, it could be a disease like this, viruses. Then there is a test of the people around us, within the family and outside the family. How do we behave at that time? Do we behave the way a human is supposed to behave? Or do we start acting like animals? Or do we start hurting people? And we've been hearing a lot of stories that how people are fighting over small things. Even though this time we should be working for each other, helping each other, instead of fighting with each other and try to take things away from each other. This is not the time. So test is important for our life, it's part of our life. If you want to go somewhere ahead in our life, we have to take a small test. And this test is just like taking a test at the school. This is a test of life. And as a community, we are taking this test. So actually, this test is much easier than a test that we have to take personally. And for the adults, what about the test when somebody dies in our family? How big that test is? Then we can also look for Imam and say, why didn't you do a miracle and save my loved one? Why did my loved one have to die? So Imam does not, perform magic. No, Imam performed spiritual and intellectual miracles for us. He wanted to make sure our soul is cured and our soul is safe, and that is the miracle he performs. Does he not perform a physical miracle? Of course he does. He also performs physical miracle, but when he thinks that is a proper thing to do, then he does that. Sometimes just to test people, sometimes just to do whatever he's trying to convey a message, whatever message he's trying to convey. There's a story of Sultan Muhammad Shah. There one time, this big magician, he was in presence of Sultan Muhammad Shah, and he was saying all these different things that I could do. And Sultan Muhammad Shah said, really? You can do all this? Could you hand me my stick? Remember cane. Sultan Muhammad Shah would have a stick.
Cane.
A cane. Could you hand me that? And this big magician, he could not even pick up that cane. Then he calls one smiley child, said, come over here. Could you pick up this cane and give to me? Child picked up the cane and gave to Saddam Hussein. So, why did Saddam Hussein do that? This was just a lesson that he was trying to show to that magician. There was no gain and profit in this miracle. Because the magician did not become a smiley or anything, or believer or anything. But Mullah Baba was showing him, with all your physical powers, Imam has a power that you cannot even think of. And look at the miracle of the Moses. When all the magicians got together at the court of the Pharaoh,
the biggest magician, Samri, was there.
Right? So, the Moses had a stick. So when he threw his stick on the ground, it became a big snake and ate all the other snake that magicians were performing or creating. But there was the need of a miracle of that time to show that his God is much more powerful. And remember, in this physical story, there's a greater lesson. Don't take this as a physical story. It may not even have happened. Or if it happened, doesn't matter. How do we benefit from something that happened 4,000 years ago? Unless there was a lesson in it. If there was a lesson, then we can learn from it. So Imam, if we perform a miracle today, and if there is a lesson to be learned, then we take that lesson and we don't worry about that physical, temporary miracle. Because physical miracles are just temporary. Ji.
So I think, why don't you talk about the lesson too, in terms of Zikr and Isme Azam, because that's what we are trying to do today. We need to know the lesson because today we are in that time of difficulty. So why don't you talk about it?
Yeah. So lesson from all this is, first, like I said, how do we stick together? How do we help each other? So it's not only physical help, but it's also, do we do more tasbiyat and more Girya Azari and more remembrance? And do we stay close to our Ismailis and our family and our Jamaat and doing what for them? How are we helping them? At the time of trials and tribulations, we're supposed to be helping others. Or have we become selfish? We are doing tasbihat, but just for ourselves. If that's what you are doing, then what is the difference between yesterday and today? Yesterday you were doing the same thing. And today you're doing the same thing. What's the difference? So in this time the learning is that Imam has given you a time to think and learn from this event. And do more remembrance, more tasbihat. And as for things for your brother and sister, do the tasbihat and prayer for your Ismaili brothers and sisters. And for other people in your community, around you, your family, your friends. Pray for all of them. And that is the lesson at the time, this hard times, right? So I would say every single test, every single trials and turbulence that comes on human, they can either benefit from it or they can suffer and not learn anything from it. Because suffering is there. Even if you don't get this virus, the mental torture and the just uncertainty is going to be there. So suffering is going to be there. Now what do you do with the suffering? It's up to all of us individually. And then as a group, what can we do about this suffering?
So it's like, when you keep on listening to all these news and thinking the way things are changing, being so uncertain, people are going into anxiety, panic attacks, and issues are happening. Or you can choose to do prayers together to stay strong and strengthen your faith and pray for the whole Jamaat and humanity. Choice is ours, right?
And because this is dunya, lies, there will be tests. Allah says in the Quran that we will test you with your lives and
2 by 155 it says और हम ज़रूर तुम्हें खौफ व ख़तर, फाका कशी, जान और माल के नुकसानात और आमदनियों के घाटे में मुब्तला करके तुम्हारी आजमाइश करेंगे। इन हालात में जो लोग सब्र करें और जब कोई मुसीबत आ पड़े तो कहें कि हम अल्लाह ही के हैं और अल्लाह ही की तरफ पलट कर जाना है, उन्हें खुशखबरी दे दो।
Yes, Khayal. Presume that Allah or Imam will make all things easy and we'll just be having a nice sailing boat going from A to B, then the purpose of life on earth is not sorted out, right?
So it's chapter 2, 155. Can you read in English?
We shall certainly test you by afflicting you with fear, hunger, loss of properties and lives and fruits. Give glad tidings then to those who remain patient. Those who, when any affliction smites them, they say, verily we belong to Allah, and it is to whom that we are destined to return. Upon them will be the blessings and mercy of their Lord, and it is they who are rightly guided.
Subhanallah. So verse 155 and 156. Thank you. Yes, Khayal.
I was just going to say, so Damoja's Platinum Jubilee message, we just speak about our example, what we do amongst ourselves for the world, right? Where Imam said that in these 70 years of my imamate, men's material condition has totally changed. There's been an immense increase in power over nature, but as we see with strikes everywhere, spiritual power has not increased. It is my hope that my spiritual children, the Ismailis, will, by the example of their own higher enlightenment and helpful cooperative movements amongst themselves, set to the world an example of better fraternity and brotherhood, which alone can free men from the fear and dangers of moral and mental discord, which leads to disaster for all.
Subhanallah. Ji. If there's no more question, we will move to the next question or about the previous class.